Hello guys, I am Satyam and you are here on our one and all lovely channel Satyam Ideal Learning, and today we will be discussing about food chain and food web. Okay, so today we will be discussing about food chain and food web. We have already discussed about the abiotic component and the biotic component of the ecosystem in detail. No, so today we will be discussing about these two topics and the interaction between the biotic and abiotic component we will be discussing. Okay, so first discuss about the interaction. Okay, now biotic and abiotic components of ecosystem interacts with each other. Clear this thing? So the biotic and the abiotic component interacts with each other, and the members, the elements of the abiotic component, also influence with each other. Okay, so the members of the abiotic component also influence with each other. Like wind carries water vapor, you know na? And wind also help in the carrying of the soil from one place to another place. Okay, and the members of the living beings, the members of the biotic component also interact with each other in many ways. Clear this thing? Now we will be coming on. See, but the interaction between the living beings and their physical environment is not just one way. Okay, the interaction between the living beings and their physical environment is not just one way. If they take from their surrounding, they also return. Okay, so if the living being is taking something from the physical environment, then it returns also. Clear this thing? Now let's discuss about how they are interacting with each other, how the biotic and abiotic component are interacting with each other. See, we all respire. Most of the organisms, including us living beings and the plants, respire. No? When they respire, what happens? We take oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Clear this thing? So most of the organisms respire, including we. Okay, so we also respire and we take oxygen and release carbon dioxide. And decomposers also, what they do? When decomposers break down the dead matter, the dead plants and animals, they also release carbon dioxide. So when there is a continuous releasing of the carbon dioxide in the air, then the composition of the air will be disturbed. No? So there is a disturbance in the composition of air. So to maintain this imbalance in the composition of the air, photosynthesis is the process which is used by the plants to make food. Okay, in photosynthesis what they do? They take up carbon dioxide and release oxygen. This is how they are maintaining. No? So plants help in the maintaining the balance of the composition of the air. Okay. Now, how the nitrogen is there? See, nitrogen is used up by the living world. Okay, nitrogen is used up by the living world. But the nitrogen is returned by the decomposers. Who are, what they are doing? They are decomposing the dead and organic matter, dead and decaying organic matter. Okay, so decomposers are returning the nitrogen back to the air by decomposing the dead and decaying organism, okay, the dead and decaying matter, okay. This is how nitrogen is also working. See, the minerals are used up by the soil, no, by the plant, okay. From the soil, the minerals are used up by the plant. Clear this thing? But how they are returning to the soil? So decomposers are helping in the returning of the minerals from the plant to the soil by breaking them when they are dead. Okay, when the plants are dead, then the decomposers decompose them and then they will break them. They will break down the organic matter, and then what they will do? They will release the minerals into the soil, and then the soil will be fertile. Okay, this is how it is going on. And you also know, when plants and animals respire, the water vapor is released in the environment. And in addition, the plants also transpire. They also do transpiration process. And in the transpiration process, the water vapor is released to the air, to the surrounding area. So in rainforest, more and a huge amount of water vapor is released because it is the area of rainforest and there are many plants. So a huge amount of water vapor is released in the air, and then it will form clouds. No, it will form what? Clouds, and then the rainfall will there. And rainfall help in the replenishing, means refilling the soil water. Okay, so rainfall helps in the refilling of the soil water. Clear this thing? And this is how it is forming a cycle. First step is what? The plant is taking water and minerals from the soil. Then it is doing transpiration. Then the water vapor is forming clouds. Then the rainfall is there. And then the rainfall helps in the replenishing of the soil water. And then the water is used indirectly. And then the water is used by the plant. This is forming a cycle. No. This is forming a whole cycle kind. So this is how the biotic and the abiotic component are interacted with each other. Okay, they are interacted with each other. Now, let's discuss about how the food is linked. How the biotic component are interacting with each other. Biotic component. Okay, so food is the primarily link between the living beings. Okay, between the living beings. So food is the primarily link. And you know, food is made by the producers. Producers are green plants. They are making food with the help of sun energy. No. So in the process, in the sun energy gets converted into the chemical energy of food. Okay, the sun energy gets converted into the chemical energy of food, and the part of this energy, a part of this chemical energy of food is used by the plants, and the rest of it is stored in the form of starch in the plants. Okay, now what will be happening? The herbivores will come. They will eat the plant. The stored part in the plant, the stored energy in the plant, a part of that energy will be used by the herbivores. So the herbivores will use the part of that energy, the stored energy, and then they will store some of the energy in them. And the energy which is stored in the herbivores is being used by the carnivores. Okay, this is how it is going on. Okay, and see, there is a loss of energy at each step as energy passes from the producers to various consumers. This you have to remember, guys. There is a loss of energy at each step. At every step there is a loss of energy because the energy is passing from the producers to the various consumers. Okay, I think this must be clear. So the producer is plant, the primary consumer is the herbivores, the carnivores are the secondary, and then the tertiary consumer are there. No, this is how it goes up the. Now let's discuss about what is food chain. What is actually the food chain? Okay, see, a series of organism, linked with each other. A series of organism linked with each other by the process of eating and being eaten. By the process of eating and being eaten forms the food chain. Okay, so a series of organisms linked with each other through process of eating and being eaten forms the food chain. Clear this thing? Now, and each step of food chain is called trophic level. I have underlined this also. So each step of the food chain is called what? Trophic level. Now, so the producers form the first trophic level. Okay, so producers form the first trophic level. The second trophic level is formed by the primary consumers. The third trophic level is formed by the secondary consumers, and the fourth is formed by the tertiary, and then it goes on. Okay, this is how trophic level is there. So trophic level is the each step of food chain. Now, the largest carnivore at end of the food chain is called apex predator. Okay, so the largest carnivore at end of the food chain is called apex predator. Apex, top. Okay, predator is used for the carnivores. Okay, predator. So the largest carnivore at the end of the food chain is called apex predator. I think this must be clear to all of you guys. So sun is the main source of energy. Why sun is the main source of energy? Because if the solar energy will not there, food will not make. And this is how the process is going on now. So the solar energy will help in the making of food. Okay. So sun is the source of energy for all the food chain. Because solar energy is converted into the chemical energy of food. Okay. Now, let's discuss about the decomposers, how they are getting nutrients. So they are getting nutrients by decomposing the dead animals and plants, dead small plants and animals. Okay, when they decompose the dead small plants and animal waste, then they get nutrients and they release the minerals into the soil, and these decomposers are eaten by other animals. Okay, so there are some of the animals which eats the decomposers also, and this is how they are forming the food chain. Clear this thing? I think you all have been clear about this thing. Now see, we will be discussing about the food web. What is food web? See, in reality what happens, food chain is not sufficient. Food chain is always not happens. Okay, so food chain is not sufficient. It not only always happens. Like, it is not necessary that the snake will eat only frog. Is it necessary always? So it is not necessary, no? So for making the flow of the food chain, that is food web. Okay, so it is making the flow of the food chain. Okay, so food web is making the flow of the food chain. Like how it is making the flow of the food chain? See, a snake is eating frog, insects, small birds, small mammals. So it is not necessary that the snake will eat only the frog. No. And it is also not necessary that the snake will be eaten by hawk only. It can be eaten by the eagle also. No. So to make the flow of the food chain, the food web is there. Okay, food web is there. Now what is food web? One organism may be a part of many food chains. In food web, what happens? There are many food chains. Okay, there are many food chains, and one organism may be a part of many food chains. This led to food chains getting connected and forming a network which is called a food web. Okay, so the food chains are getting connected and forming a kind of network, and this network is called food web. Clear this thing? I think food web is clear to all of you guys. Okay, and one organism may be a part of many food chains. Clear? So the food chain and food web is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the comment section. And bye bye guys. We will meet in the next time very soon.